Faker isn't just the face of League anymore.
I think it's more likely that League of Legends will disappear as an esport before somebody gets anywhere close to what Faker has accomplished.
He isn't just a mid laner. He's an institution.
Faker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that?
His victories are unrivaled, but so are the stings of his defeat.
Gumayushi is dead. They have been doubted. They have been discounted. They have been dismissed. But DRX are your 2022 World Champions.
He's gone from the master of his craft to a mentor.
세 번째 우승은 저 자신을 위한 거였습니다. 네 번째 우승은 우리 팀을 위한 것입니다.
They've taken down BLG. They've taken down LNG. It is not LPL versus LCK. It is T1 versus the LPL. And they like those odds.
This is the story of how the greatest of all time became even greater.
Mike's going to be hostile takeover, but he's the only one. And now Zay's looking for the target. Faker dives in though as well. He's going to collect the first with the help of Ona. Now taking a whole lot of damage, and Faker is in the shroud. He's toying with him. It's a double killing. What? Fire! And back in again. It's a triple. It was 7 years since their last, a decade since their first. The SKT legacy has been reignited. T1 will be your 2023 World Champions.
In spring 2020, things were looking up for Lee Faker Sanghyuk. Despite COVID thrusting both the LCK and the world into quarantine, T1 continued their reign as the best roster in Korea.
Bullabear dies, and that is going to do it. T1 are your LCK Spring 2020 champions.
After winning their third consecutive domestic title, T1 set their sights on the rest of the year. Unfortunately, not only did T1 fail to win the LCK Summer Split, they didn't even reach the top 4, and by extension, Worlds.
The second and last Nexus turret is taken down. Mystic flashes on forward. Death Defy is not enough, and Afrika are going to perform the miracle. They'll knock T1 out in the wild card.
For a roster like T1 and a player like Faker, this was unthinkable. The Demon King had won Worlds more times than he'd missed it. To three-peat domestically and make semifinals at Worlds 2019, only to be a no-show this year, it felt like a step back.
T1 and SK Telecom had this really strong history. You know, you look at the mid 2010s, right? When you look at Faker's start, early 2010s, right? And then you go into 2014, 2015, 2016, all their players were fairly well known very quickly, and they were all legends essentially. And in the years that followed, T1, after the loss in 2017, wasn't able to maintain that level of form with the rosters they were trying to put together.
For the second time in as many years, it was time for a change. By the end of 2020, T1 had, one by one, replaced every member of Faker's supporting cast with younger players.
SK Telecom became T1, and around this time, I think there was a change in focus. Not that they need to pick up some star players that were super well known and famous, but maybe they need to invest in rookies and try to scout new talent.
But I think the biggest catalyst here was Griffin and Damwon and their incredible success when they made it into the LCK as new players with a brand new perspective, ready to completely change how the game is played. And I think it's that sort of shock factor that they were realizing that they could leverage, especially with players that were in their academy system, right? Like T1 had a pretty extensive sort of backlog of players that they could reach into.
Alongside their recently promoted academy prospect Gumayushi, T1 elevated two other hungry but unproven up-and-comers from their system, Zeus and Owner. They also acquired a rising star in Kyria from DRX. Just like that, Faker had gone from the focus of the team to an older, mentoring presence. The consensus was that 2021 would be a rebuilding year for T1, and that was reflected in their results. But over the course of summer and spring, they found their footing in exactly the way everyone had hoped.
See what he can do. Trying to clear the wave. He has the Gore Drinker, and he will stay alive, and we got respawns coming in here, but
Vista just dies.
The call is to just take down the Nexus, and it looks like T1 will, in fact, secure the third place seed from the the LCK.
In fact, by the time Worlds rolled around, they weren't just hopefuls, they were actual contenders.
Owner gonna take the first half of the queue and gonna get the shield now as well. FBI is exhausted. FBI has to flash back to safety. The follow-through could be there, and it's first blood. Owner grabs it, ignited, but survives out of the turret.
The teleport's going to come through. Moonlight Vigil comes down from Gumayushi already. So much damage available. The flash forward. The dash cannon as well from Cannabit. Now they're trying to turn it around. The Yuumi, unfortunately, oh no. Mako tries to save his jungler, but instead throws his life away. And T1 wipe the team fight. It's heroic, but it's not going to matter. T1 will 3-0 Harmer Life Esports. They wanted to do this in the World's Gauntlet. Thankfully, they got a second try, and damn, second time was the charm.
Despite falling short in an excruciatingly close semifinal against the eventual winners, Damwon, T1 had exceeded all expectations. It felt as if Faker finally had a roster that was worthy of him. T1's future looked bright. The question was whether it would be enough to overcome the phantoms of the past. T1 came into 2022 with a bang.
Now Nexus turrets will go down. T1, an absolutely historical moment. 18-0 for the first time in the LCK, and they tie 2015 Summer SKT and Damwon 2020 Summer. Two teams that then went on to win Worlds at plus 29 points in the season.
There was a moment, I feel like, when they went 6-0 in the beginning of the season where you're mostly done with the round robin, where we were all looking at each other going, T1's back. You know, this team is actually on top of the LCK right now.
They went undefeated in spring, something no LCK roster had ever done, and took home their first domestic title in nearly 3 years.
Owner will be able to pick it up, and that is going to be the end of this. T1 are your spring 2022 victors.
오랜만에 또 우승하니까 그래도 좋은 것 같고 또 이제 오늘은 3대1로 이겼는데 MSI는 또 이제 다 3대0으로 이길 수 있게 더 열심히 하는 게 최선인 것 같습니다.
Heading into MSI, the consensus was that T1 were beyond fearsome. They were back. After going undefeated in groups and taking second in the Rumble stage, T1 coasted through the semifinals for a grand final bout against the one team who'd finished ahead of them, RNG. And it was there, in yet another all-or-nothing final, that Faker fell short.
Xiaohu the little tiger has roared into life. The LPL continue their era of dominance, and they are leaving no one alive. It's RNG's world, and we're just living in it.
Warranted or not, every time T1, and specifically Faker, failed to close out a do-or-die best-of-5, it felt like history was repeating itself. Like an echo of his heartbreaking 2017 collapse, however faint, could always be heard.
It's interesting because the BO5 used to be their territory. Like the SKT era into the early T1 era, that was when yeah, you could beat him in a best of 3, that's fine. You could beat him in a best of 1, that's fine. You will never beat this team in a best of 5. And I think that sort of changed with how the team dynamic sort of changed.
Come summer, it was more of the same. T1 steamrolled their way through the regular season, soared into the finals against Gen G, and then failed yet again.
Zeus is desperately trying to hold on. He does go golden himself, but look at these Nexus turrets, and for the first time, Gen G will crack a third Nexus!
It didn't matter how promising T1 looked or how close they came. It always felt as if they hit a wall as soon as they were one series away from finishing the job. And little did they know, the worst was yet to come. Going into Worlds 2022, T1 weren't necessarily the favorites. Their youth, inexperience, and consistent inability to close tempered their strength to the point that, while they remained a threat, they were never a target. But that suited them just fine.
T1 tearing through the Nexus. Eyes on the prize, give them no quarter, take everything from EDG. Viper making out, fighting back to look at it again. Oh my God! Nexus will fall. 22-minute victory. T1 unleashed on the international stage.
Before anyone knew it, T1 had topped their group and obliterated RNG in the quarters. Come their semifinal matchup against JDG, the assumption was that T1 and Faker might really be able to do this.
Uh-oh. Hope's gonna take so much damage. Flashed away. Gale Force ulti. It is the second time in a row. Guma finds that one. In the bot side is a fight though. Faker attack, but tanky for a while. Huge ulti from Zeus. Gets one, gets two, and T1, they see your 4v5, and they don't care. Under the tower, they kill 2.
Ooh, 369 in the mid lane.
Gonna find the stun, a whole lot of damage, a shuffle, buys a second, the shield survives a bit longer, but 369 still drops, and Viego is ready to claim a couple of corpses. It's not gonna come through for Yagao. Ignite will not kill Zeus, and T1 are winning everywhere. Gragas only sends them back out. JDG a brief respite, but only for a moment as Faker takes down Yagao. Gumayushi secures the kill, but it was still the doing of the mid laner, the greatest of all time. 10 years in his career, 5 years since Ruler kicked him out in the finals. And tomorrow we may see him rematch that man for his 4th title. The Nexus turrets fall. T1 back to the finals for the first time in 5 years, and a team full of homegrown, home-scouted talent, and a stomping game 4 over JDG.
For the first time in half a decade, the greatest of all time was within spitting distance of his throne. Yet again, a single best of 5 stood between Faker and his ultimate goal. But Faker wasn't the only one who'd earned a date with destiny. Standing across from him was the only person with a stronger, crazier claim than his. Someone who no one ever thought would have been there to begin with. Legendary Korean ADC, Deft. Despite coming up alongside Faker, Deft had won everything but Worlds. As the veteran leader of DRX, whose run through the tournament was already a Cinderella story for the ages, it felt like the gods themselves had blessed his journey. But when the series actually started, it was all about the Demon King.
Drake secured as Faker goes in. Deft is on the run. 40% AP. Zeus ready for the re-engage. Fate sealed, and Deft is down. Faker gets the kill, and T1 are ready to go.
T1's Game 1 victory was decisive, but DRX struck back.
Pioshik and Deft ready to fight. Chains of corruption fly out. They're going to find 3 different targets. Faker is low. Faker is down. Zeus tries to fight. Owner into the back line. Going to pick one back up. Deft gets Guardian Angel out of Gumayushi as Pioshik is ready to fight. Sword versus gun, and Owner has to run away.
With everything tied up, T1 struck again, but Faker was starting to struggle, and his team knew that they had to pick up the slack.
Zeka ready to use the stolen ulti. He throws Owner away. The bear is stolen by Owner in a hero moment. The shutdown of the ocean, and T1 get it done.
T1 were on match point. Faker's 4th title was 1 game away, and it was right then that he stumbled.
They're going in. They found a lot of damage, but they won't find the kill just yet. Now Gumayushi's going to be popped, and Barrel is not traded back. Zeka taking some damage. Faker trying to go in and find his way through the smoke. Now he's got to run. He's trying to get out, but Twisted Advance will find him, and DRX will win across the rim. Faker trying to chase after him here. Uses R1, finds the E, but now a TP is coming in. Now the ulti's coming over from Maokai. Now DRX have found Faker. The smoke will not save him. Maokai ulti flies out. Kingen and World Ender goes over the wall. Faker's lost half HP. Faker is nearly down. Hostile takeover over the wall. Wish from Soraka will heal the mid laner, but Maokai says no. DRX ready to fight back again as Zeus is going to be shuffled away. T1 tries to find the fight, and they're finally going to kill Deft, but Kingen's still ready to fight over the side. Zeka getting chased. Barrel trying to protect. A beautiful handshake from Renata as Carrier falls. T1, 2v3. Barrel may be the target, but Gumayushi is locked down. Gumayushi is executed by the sword of Kingen, and Owner is the only man standing wearing red.
A 5th and final map in a series that no one thought would go this far to begin with. This was it. Faker's last chance to undo his curse, and it was a bloodbath.
Pioshik's coming around from the side. Kingen's on the flank now too. They're waiting on the TP to come in. Gumayushi's going to be targeted. He tries to get away, but he's going to take it out first. Zeka's trying to get away. They're finding more damage as Owner's about to fall onto Pioshik now. Zeus wants to fight against Kingen. The maul keeps him alive, and DRX is winning the fight. Shadow was still ready. Faker dies. Zeka goes in, and Carrier will die.
The craziest, greatest, most back-and-forth Worlds final ever. And when Faker struggled, his teammates made up for it in unthinkable ways.
T1 didn't find a response. Guma, can he steal it?
Guma will have to fire a hell of a
It all came down to one fight. Worlds as a whole lay in the palm of T1's hand, Faker's hand. And then, just like that, it was gone.
Kingen comes back. Elder Drake in the ready. But what can he do? Q3. No damage just yet. Elder Drake. The execute. Zeus is down. DRX. Hold. Kingen goes to the world ender. Gumayushi is dead. They have been doubted. They have been discounted. They have been dismissed. But DRX are your 2022 World Champions.
Faker hadn't just relived his nightmare. He'd made it worse.
All right, just about done with this edit. Now, time for a quick break.
Hey, have you started cutting the Cash App ad for the Story of Tens yet?
Not yet. I downloaded Cash App because I read the script earlier, and it turns out it is pretty cool.
Of course it's cool, Seb. They're literally paying us to say that.
Yeah, but did you know that if you direct deposit at least $300 a month in paychecks, you unlock high-yield savings? It's almost like my money's worth more.
Yes, I know. I'm the one who wrote the ad, the one you're supposed to be editing. What are you doing right now?
Huh? Oh, well, with up to 4.5% interest on my savings, I'm actually using some of that extra money towards upgrading my gaming rig.
Dude, your deadline is today. Stop buying things and edit the ad.
Wait, I thought this was due next week. There's no way I can finish this in time.
Honestly, Seb, that's a you problem.
Wait.
Sounds like you won't be needing these.
You've got to be kidding me. What else could go wrong today? Oh no.
For T1, the fallout from that Worlds final was felt. That trophy had been so close. Faker wasn't finished by any stretch, but making a Worlds final is no small feat. There was a lingering fear that, great as he was, he might never come that close again.
When I saw Faker's face, when he looked at Keria, that's what really hit me. Like, I felt this really big throb in my chest when I saw that, because I think Faker realized two things in that moment, or felt two things very strongly. One, that's me 5 years ago. I'm looking at myself, and also at the same time, I think feeling like I've let my players down.
What's worse is that the curse continued. Despite looking formidable as ever, T1 took second in spring before falling one series short of the MSI Grand Final.
It was supposed to be EDG, it was supposed to be Gen G, it was supposed to be T1, but here at MSI, BLG stands strong in defiance of all expectations. They move to the final.
As if things couldn't get any worse, Faker was benched shortly into summer on account of a wrist injury.
Faker is resting because he has some pain in his arm, so he's okay, but they don't want to further complicate his medical condition, so we will be seeing the Challengers mid-player Kobe play in his stead.
The expectation was that this shouldn't have really hurt T1. Faker hadn't carried the roster in years, and his teammates were, in no uncertain terms, best in class. They should, at the very least, have been able to survive without him, but they'd lost 7 of their next 8 matches.
T1, they really heavily indexed on making plays on the bottom side, backfired. And then Owner, man, he tried his best to find any sort of angle. And you see him on cam as well here as Keria's going to go down. He's just having a bit of a reality check, you know, in this one. Like, this is not the T1 roster that went undefeated. This is not the T1 roster that went to the finals back-to-back.
T1 already looked rough. They almost dropped to Nongxin. But the fall-off with Faker there, where it looked like he was kind of the duct tape, you know, barely keeping it together. As soon as that duct tape was ripped off, everything went to shreds.
So T1 just got 2-0'd. I think we really do see how important Faker is to T1. And man, I have no words.
So I would say mostly a lot of confidence is gone. Maybe that's because their little Papa Faker in there. They don't have the Papa.
With their playoff spot on the line, T1 needed Faker. And so on the very last week, with 2 matches left to play, Faker made his triumphant return.
Speaking of which, they are just going to try to burst down Faker here. Gets incredibly low as the Xerath ultimate will be layered, but not quite hitting the target somehow. Hunter gets back in there. Young's in a bit of trouble, and Aatrox is here, and he will take over this game whether you like it or not, as will the Zeri, as they just shred through everybody. T1 way too far ahead.
Glacial Prison comes in. Aiming's going to be interrupted by Ona. Absolutely beautiful play. Now Keria taking some damage, but the Featherstorm's going to save Gumayushi. Lehens has to go golden, and he's not going to be able to get himself out of it. Keen is going to be the first to go down in the fight, and T1 are just juggling the aggro gorgeously. Ko's going to be the next victim here as T1 are looking for match point. They are looking for no mercy, and they want to head towards the final. They leave the Baron. There's a black forward from Gumayushi. The cage is down. Bennett avoids the feather storm, and it does not matter. Gumayushi grabs the double. The Nexus turret will be taken down, and T1 will deny the reverse sweep. And they'll meet Genji again tomorrow and qualify for the World Championship.
Despite falling prey to Genji in yet another domestic final, it almost didn't matter. T1 only had one trophy on their minds: the 2023 World Championship. Going into Worlds 2023, it felt as if the expectations around T1 had finally started to match their potential. This was a world-class roster who could do everything. But even then, they were not the tournament favorites. That spot belonged to JDG. JDG were the crown jewel of the LPL, a veritable super team consisting of China and Korea's best. And at the fore of their already daunting lineup stood the only man who'd bounced back from a Faker defeat. A man who'd not only beaten a god, but humbled him. Ruler, widely regarded as the best ADC in the world, was the very player who had delivered the crushing, decisive blow that put an end to the SKT dynasty back in 2017.
On the Nexus, the upset is complete as the kills come through. The SKT dynasty is over. All hail the new kings, Samsung Galaxy.
What's more, JDG were on track to walk a course no roster ever had: the Golden Road. They'd won both domestic splits and MSI. All they needed was Worlds and they'd make history. And as soon as the tournament was underway, it looked like they would.
BLG, it feels like just waiting for the inevitable. Here comes Kanavi.
He's going on in, and again, I don't think anyone can really touch him except, I guess, Yagao at this point in time. But Yagao, he's just dominated on the top side, and yes, Missing is going to go down, but JDG, they're just playing with their food. They don't even need to fight BLG at this point. Knight goes in, he's having a ball in this one, and JDG are going to take down the best one. I guess it wasn't to be unexpected.
One more brick in the Golden Road, one more step forward. 2-0 for JDG, one of the massive favorites to win Worlds 2023.
After going undefeated in groups, JDG cut their way through Korean powerhouse KT Rolster in the quarterfinals.
Looks for the opportunity onto Missing, but he is so slippery, and now the Nexus is exposed. JDG a few auto attacks away from the semi-finals as the kick comes in. Aiming tries to stand his ground, but the Nexus is being fought. It's so low! Oh,
they end it! What? The cannon minion got one last shot off and they end the game!
But as expected, T1 had also stomped groups, owned quarters, and steamrolled their way into semis.
And even as every other LCK team falls away, Faker stays standing. T1 stays standing. The last light of the LCK burns bright, and Busan as they head to the semifinals.
Everyone knew that this would be the true grand finals of the tournament, the storm before the calm. Faker had to stare down the man who'd broken him. The difference was that this time he had help.
Weaver's Wall coming out, isolating Owner. Might go for the 50-50, but it's absolutely Psycho flashes over the arrow. Faker goes in! It's incredibly clean. JDG with the counterpunch. Can they get anything back? Ruler untouched on the backside. Dragon still standing, but Owner will take that away too. My God, what an engage from T1!
T1 and JDG both stood on a razor's edge. A single play could cause either team to topple, but Faker took control.
TP coming in, Faker looking to make the play against Ruler. Owner goes in, and again the combos are clean. The hostile takeover is damn well hostile. T1 looking to leave no survivors alive. 369 admits the entire team will get absolutely nothing. T1 in the clutch are too damn clean.
An otherworldly outplay onto the opponent, the world champion who'd humiliated Faker years before. From that point on, it was over. Faker had single-handedly shattered JDG's mental, and T1 closed out both that game and the next, securing their ticket to the finals.
They've taken down BLG. They've taken down LNG. It is not LPL versus LCK. versus the LPL, and they like those odds.
And it felt as if this time it would be different, because this time Faker wasn't playing for himself.
세 번째 우승은 저 자신을 위한 거였습니다. 네 번째 우승은 우리 팀을 위한 것입니다.
T1 decimated Weibo in the last series, delivering a beatdown for the history books.
Now the teleport to come in here as they do manage to secure this Rift Herald. We'll see whether Weibo can get themselves out of here. Light going to be hostile takeovered, but he's the only one. And now Zeus looking for the target. Faker dives in though as well. He's going to collect the first with the help of Owner. The Shy goes down. The rest of Weibo will scatter.
Carrier is on that sideline. They know he's there.
Yeah, he flashes in. He finds himself. The charm onto 4 is there. It is the ultimate from the Shy, but it just doesn't quite do enough. They try and get out, but Faker has the perfect execution and locks down his fellow ninja. Xiaohu now taking a whole lot of damage, and Faker is in the shroud. He's toying with him. It's a double kill. What? Order! And back in again. It's a triple for Faker. Zeus is going to be able to help lock down the next one. Faker eventually goes down, but it's 4 for him and Carrier. It's heartbreaking as now they take a magical journey over Zeus. He likes this one though. 1 versus 3. He's absorbing so much. The Emperor's Divide. It comes in, but he's still alive. What's going on? Faker tidies up the burst. Everyone's just exploding as Weiwei trying to get something done, but it does not matter. T1 are too strong.
4 times T1 has lost in a game 5. 4 times they've been knocked out, and 4 times they have got back up for this moment.
It was 7 years since their last, a decade since their first. The SKT legacy has been reignited. T1 will be your 2023 World Champions.
For the 4th time in his career, Faker hoisted the Summoners Cup and reminded everyone that he is indomitable. Not just the face of League of Legends, but the soul, the spirit, the player who we are all, every one of us, trying to emulate.
네, 기분 좋고요. 네, 저는 무엇보다도 이렇게 많은 분들이 있는 앞에서 경기를 할 수 있었다는 것 자체가 너무 감사하고, 사실 승패는 저는 그다지 중요하지 않아요. 그냥 경기를 할 수 있음에 감사했습니다.
The growth of Faker corresponds in many ways with the growth of League of Legends. For over 10 years, he's been the be-all and end-all of this esport. He's the reason that many of us started playing, and the reason that more than a decade later, we're still here. There aren't that many games where the greatest of all time is truly undisputed. But in the case of League, there is simply no question, no conversation to be had.
Thank you for sharing and always love me.
Hey guys, thanks so much to every one of you who has been tuning in to watch this brand new season of The Story Of presented by Cash App. It's because of partners like Cash App that we're able to bring you bigger and better content every year. And with their help, we've been able to make this season of Story Of better than ever. So if you got a second, do us a favor and fill out the quick survey down in the comments below. It takes a couple of minutes and helps us a ton to keep making content like The Story Of. Thanks again for watching this season. We'll see you for the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.